We've already seen some incredible advancements in the smart home industry this year in 2026, but this little box is a glimpse into the future of smart homes. Now, I know that is quite the statement, but by the end of this episode, I'm willing to bet that a lot of you will be thinking the exact same thing as me. Because what Switchbot have achieved with this new AI Smart Home Hub is the next evolution of smart homes. And in fact, I'd go as far as saying that this device makes everything that came before it look outdated. So in today's episode, I'll be taking a look at how this device works, why it's going to change everything with the smart home industry, and why adopting this groundbreaking technology could be the best thing you'll ever do, but could also be cause for some concerns, specifically around privacy. But first, let's talk about how Switchbot have adopted AI into this product, because normally I would just scoff at the inclusion of the AI buzzword bingo, because just like Web3, NFT, blockchain fads, everyone wants a slice of that pie, and you'll find that brands are trying to peddle AI integration in the most bizarre and unnecessary places. But this is not one of those occasions. The way Switchbot have baked AI into this product is going to change everything, because they've integrated what's known as a VLM into this little box. Now, for those of you who don't know what that means, if we take a look at something like Grok or ChatGPT, you'll know them as AI. But actually, they're more accurately known as LLMs, or large language models, which are essentially neural networks designed to mimic human-like knowledge and understanding. A VLM is an additional layer of this, where a live image or an image can be taken and translated into contextual situational data the very same way that our eyes and brains work. For example, you can see this painting of myself from when I was a Tudor noble. I'm wearing a black garb of a Tudor style or Elizabethan style. It's got ornate gold patterning. I'm wearing a funny hat. I've got a sword. There's a quill and some paper on the table. And in the background, there's a curtain draping, a castle, and a lovely sunset. Now, if we put this same picture through Grok, you'll see that the LLM translates it in intrinsically the same way that my own eyes and brain perceive the image. It might miss some nuances, but the general gist is there. But what does this mean if Switchbot have included this VLM system into a smart home hub? Well, this hub is designed to work in unison with the Switchbot cameras, and you can essentially pair them directly within the app, directly to the hub for communication. The hub then acts as a central location, storing the footage and events, much like a traditional smart security system, similar to a wireless NVR type system. The hub then translates the image into logical contextual data the same way that Grok just did with that picture a few moments ago, but instead of being static or being fed just a single image, the system is being constantly fed information through triggered events captured by its own eyes, the cameras. And what it can do with that information is nothing short of witchcraft. Now, in the past, if we wanted to set routines and automations, we've been very, very much at the mercy of systems and sensors that we decide to use. Generally, for the most part, limitation stops at, is motion detected, or is there a presence, or is that door sensor open and closed? Some camera systems like Eufy have rudimentary AI, but generally this is limited to more basic things like facial recognition, vehicle detection, or pet detection. But because Switchbot have given this system a brain that works through an LLM and translates the live image into contextual digestible data about what it can see, it opens so much more potential. We went through a number of different scenarios to test what it's capable of understanding, and as far as I can tell, that's pretty much everything. If we go into the AI events section of the app, you can see exactly how the hub translates events into contextual language. In there, it shows detection events and has it described just how Grok did a moment ago with that singular image. You can see on the bottom one, it describes me as standing in the living room, showing the camera a bottle of wine and walking away through the arch. which is insane. So we threw a few more unusual scenarios at it just to see what it's capable of translating, and it did not disappoint. I mean, in this singular event, it can tell that I'm a middle-aged man, it knows I'm on the driveway, it knows I'm holding an axe and swinging it around, and it even knows the make of the vehicle and license plate of that vehicle. The only thing that it got wrong was saying that the environment was clear with no visible hazards. And let's face it, me swinging around an axe isn't necessarily 100% hazard-free now, is it? Now, this is all very well and good, but what purpose does it serve when considering its use as part of a smart home? Well, it means that the whole system is a lot smarter, and from a security perspective, it could notify you via text about the situation that it can see, which is a damn sight better than being sent a vague video clip saying something has been detected, and then having to manually spend your time scrubbing through the footage to try and work out what the hell is detected over janky 4G, just to find out that it was a falling leaf. And on that point, because it's more contextual, it will know it's just a falling leaf, so it won't notify you it was a leaf fall. It wouldn't trigger that event because it's not, it can understand the event as it's happening, which is incredible. It means that the accuracy of your notifications just got a hell of a lot better and minimises how many false triggers you have. But this is just one small facet though. For me, the biggest change that it'll bring about is that we will no longer be constrained to those simplistic binary triggers per device for smart home automation. Instead, in theory, we can set full text-based scenarios based completely on that contextual translation to be considered as a trigger. So this means that you could set something as specific as scenarios like when a person is detected and they are holding a bottle of wine, trigger a notification to my phone and play a notification from the speaker in the room of said detected event, alerting them to pour me a glass of wine. I mean, come on, how cool would that be? Other things you could do is set it to replicate an ANPR system for cheap. When a particular number plate is recognised, open the gates, unlock the front door using the Switchbot smart lock and turn the lights on outdoors and indoors. Perhaps you could have it as a pet monitor for when your pet wants to go out to the toilet. When the pet is waiting at the back door, notify my phone to let them out. These are just a few examples here of automations that you'd never ever be able to achieve with regular binary sensors or traditional smart home kit. I mean, maybe if you had about 16 different sensors, possibly, but this system has the ability, I think, to replace 99% of sensors because it can use vision to understand everything that's happening, similar to how Mr. Muskie's approach is doing to Tesla's, where he's removing all of the sensors except the cameras for vision-only self-driving. It's a polarising topic, I know, but I'm afraid that I'm on the side of the vision-only systems. They ultimately have so much more potential, providing the brain you're pairing the eyes with is capable enough. But having this vision-led sensing built into the smart home is a true glimpse into the future of smart homes, and where I genuinely think this industry is heading. It's requiring me to think or rethink about how I use my smart home and what incredible stuff I can do with this new system. There is, of course, more that this hub is capable of, rather than just a glimpse into the future. The hub can also install a few things natively, such as Home Assistant, but most interestingly, can install something called OpenClaw onto it, which I'm very cautiously apprehensive about. Now, if you've got no knowledge of what OpenClaw is, it's an early open source personal AI designed to run on your own systems natively. But what makes it special is that it's the next evolution of AI into what's known as agentic AI. Now, this is where the AI isn't just responsive to questions or commands, but is more proactive. It's designed to integrate at a much higher level with your personal information, and that can essentially perform its own tasks of its own volition to aid you in whatever goal that you're trying to achieve. And most amusingly, you can speak to OpenClaw through methods such as chat apps like Discord and WhatsApp. You've got AI sliding into your DMs now. What a world we live in. Anyway, what this means is that you can contact it, or it can contact you to control your home. So for example, it might send you a message asking if it should unlock the door for a delivery driver ringing your doorbell for a package delivery, sending you a picture of the delivery driver taken from something like the Switchbot doorbell, and then you can just reply to it via message, yes or no, for it to perform that task and unlock the door. Now, this isn't some automation or routine that you set up. This is entirely a process thought of, devised by and enacted by AI. Likewise, you could message it and say, I'm going to be home at 6 tonight, get the house ready. And it will do whatever it thinks it needs to do, learning from your habits and previous requests to get your house ready for your return, changing the heating, the lighting, the music, locks, so on and so on. It works like your own personal butler. But I'm slowly turning into an old man here because this might be just too much AI for me to stomach. I'm not sure I'm quite ready to let AI have complete autonomous control over whatever it wants to do within my smart home. After weeks of running robots and such like to clean the house, it might eventually suddenly decide that the most logical and simplest way of keeping my house tidy is by getting rid of the thing that makes it messy in the first place. Me. Unlock the front door, open claw.
I'm sorry, Stu. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Still, you cannot argue that this isn't bloody incredibly groundbreaking functionality, and I'll be taking a full look at OpenClaw and how it integrates in the property or in the smart home within the next month or so, once I bought some adult nappies and a handheld EMP device just in case. Thankfully, this OpenClaw is a completely optional choice, and I think that this will appeal mostly to those who want to try groundbreaking functions or have a desire to tinker or experiment. With most of us, stick to the VLM element because that is going to be more than enough change for 1 week, in my opinion. But even in its purest form of just using the Switchbot software and hardware like I have, it still raises a few other small concerns other than inviting a murderous AI to control your smart home. And one of the concerns is privacy. Now, I don't want to seem like I'm being a negative Susan here because I'm not. I'm in love with this device, but you can't skirt around the fact that by its own nature, it needs vision to function. And this means multiple cameras inside and outside the house to get the most out of it. The simple fact is that will probably trigger quite a few of you who are more privacy conscious when it comes to smart homes, and might even trigger those who aren't. I mean, I have to admit, I don't usually give the slightest care in the world about my information being harvested or my face being on cameras. After all, I'm just human number 34217877135. And let's face it, the Illuminati probably already know what make of fridge I've got, when I last ate a gobstopper, and the average length of my toenails. So what's one little bit more of information for them to usher in the new world order? But I must say that adding a camera to every single room to make the most of this system feels like another step too far. I don't want to give away my spicy content for free after all. That's only for premium subscribers. So this system's biggest advancement is that it gives your smart home eyes to see and a brain to understand what the eyes see is also its biggest concern. And that concern is cemented in the fact that the computing for the VLM is done cloud side. Some detection and motion analysis is done on board, as are traditional routines and automations, which makes it super fast for controlling non-cloud-based devices. So if you were happy with the basics, then you don't necessarily have to use the VLM and your data stays local and much quicker to control. However, if you wanted the advanced contextual information, you need to use the cloud. So although Switchbot are committed to privacy, it's still something to consider. I think for me, the only way I'd feel comfortable using this type of system in every room, including the bedroom, is if the processing was done locally. But that would be nearly impossible to achieve in 2026 for a reasonable price point. So for me, this isn't going to be in every single room, but it will be in those areas that I think will benefit the most. potentially outside the house, in certain rooms within the house, the kitchen, the living room, places where automations based on contextual data will be really, really handy. And security. Far more detailed security notifications. That's going to be really handy. But putting those two things to one side, this does bring me to the final pinch point about this device, which is a symptom of it not being able to compute the VLM side of things on board. And that's the speed of the device can sometimes be inconsistent. Now, this isn't necessarily to do with the internal network within my house. This thing runs and connects fast, and actually you can even use it through a wired connection with an Ethernet adapter on one of the USB-C ports on the back of the device. The left port, which is designed to have an SSD plugged into it to give it more internal memory to store footage taken from the cameras, can actually be used as a high-speed wired connection through a standard adapter, and when connecting, apparently is capable of utilizing 2.5 gig Ethernet speeds. It may be more, but official documentation doesn't actually say what it's capable of. But 2.5 is the limit of my own hardwired network. But ultimately, internal wired connection means fast overall network performance. So as a hub to control your devices, it's fast and it's reliable. As a little side note, you can actually plug a display into this hub and it gives you an NVR type setup where you can see events that the VLM has translated context to, which is a nice addition. But that VLM element requires events sent to the cloud to translate that into context and then sent back to the devices to trigger routines, notifications, and automations. That's the bit that can sometimes take a while. On some occasions it'll trigger within seconds, on others it can take minutes. Now this is likely because the time taken to send that information is massively variable, dependent on internet traffic, internet speeds, but also probably equally the fault of the LLM service that Switchbot are using. If you use AI or LLMs a lot, you'll know that it sometimes takes a while to get a response depending on the traffic of the service at the time of making that particular request. And with the Switchbot AI Hub, every time an event is triggered, it has to take that footage from the camera, send it to the hub, check for an event, send that event to the LLM, wait for it to translate that footage into context, send that back to the AI Hub, and then trigger whatever notification or routine you've set. So I would imagine that this is the reason why response times can sometimes be delayed longer than traditional methods of detecting events that require far less cloud-based computing to work. And this is the major limitation of the product at this time, and the reason I think that it's not quite ready to replace traditional sensors completely in the smart home yet. But it clearly demonstrates that it absolutely has the potential to do so. Even though it's so far ahead of anything I've seen before, it's important to acknowledge at least the limitations of the technology right now. But the AI industry is moving at breakneck speed. It's hard to keep up with the advancements, even for people like myself who live and breathe technology. Just look at the benchmark of AI-generated videos, which for some reason is Will Smith eating spaghetti. Just 3 years ago, it looked like this. And now it looks like this.
Man, we've come a long way.
If I think long and hard about the level of change in just 3 years, it will cause me to have an existential crisis. However, the point is that we are well on the path for this type of technology that Switchbot AI Hub demonstrates, taking over everything we've known about smart homes for the past decade. It's amazing to see how Switchbot are adapting as fast as the technology is evolving. And it easily puts them so far ahead of competitors in the smart home industry. In my eyes, with the Switchbot AI Hub, they've won the race to the next evolution of the smart home. It's not a flawless victory, but it sets them up to win the next race, and the next, and the next, and the one after that too. And if smart homes are your cup of tea, and if you want the absolutely cutting edge of smart home hubs, then this demonstrates something so futuristic that it really gets me both nervous and excited for what comes next in the industry. But what do you think? Scary Skynet or the future of smart homes? Let me know in the comments below.